R360 is a league of the rarest of individuals who've accumulated extraordinary wealth, yet they have audacious dreams to change the world for the better. We teach them how to grow their wealth way beyond money. Have you ever heard the proverb, give someone a fish, you feed them for a day? Teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. Well, we believe that the same fundamentals apply to money. R360 teaches individuals and families that to achieve your full potential, you need to discover all forms of capital: financial, intellectual, social, human, emotional, and spiritual, which spells fishes. And learning how to catch these fishes is what R360 families master. Welcome to Fortunate Fishes, Secrets of Success from R360. I'm Charlie Garcia. Barbie Castro is an entrepreneur who founded a family business that today is valued at over $4 billion. She's also an award-winning actress, producer, prominent real estate investor, and philanthropist. Born in Miami Beach to Cuban parents, she pivoted from her entrepreneurial venture to her passion for filmmaking. She's produced and starred in numerous films that today are featured on Lifetime and A&E. She won 6 Best Actress Awards and is currently producing several new films in Hollywood and managing her own record label. In this episode of Fortunate Fishes, Barbie shares secrets on how she raised 2 beautiful daughters, maintained a loving relationship with her life partner while doing her dance, living her life purpose. Welcome, Barbie. I'm so excited that you're here today. You've had such a fascinating life and career. And I was just wondering, what was the trigger in your life that, made you want to accumulate wealth?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. And that's an interesting question because it really goes back to teenage years of just wanting to pay off credit card debt. I accumulated all my department store credit cards into one Visa, and little by little started paying that off. But for me, it was always just about living debt-free and paying off credit card debt, and it really just started that simple as that.
Well, when you started, when you went through this entrepreneurial journey with your husband and your brother-in-law and sister-in-law, did you ever think that you would create a company such as you created before going into your acting career?
No. We just loved what we did. We did it every day. We felt fulfilled in so many different ways, and the money just came in and everybody did their job, like their part, and it became what it is today, which is incredible. And my husband said it best. He goes, you just keep grinding and grinding and grinding, and one day you look up and you go, oh my gosh, I have something. Look at what we've built. And it was just from the passion, and we were in the zone, and we just didn't spend money. We just paid off debt and lived a comfortable life, but it just accumulated on its own after a while, and then yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes when someone looks at someone who has like $1 billion company, they think that they went into it trying to make money, and I've heard so many times that if that's what you focus on, you don't succeed. And what you're saying is you were just doing the day-to-day, working every day, and it just happened over, a 20-year period.
Yeah, we just wanted to pay our bills. Our first mortgage was $1,100, and we had a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage. That was our first house, but it took us 9 months to save the deposit. So it was always like minor goals that we achieved one at a time, but always with the intention to just live comfortable and pay off or pay our bills. It just started from something that simple, because Eric and I We almost got evicted twice from a 1-bedroom apartment, and our rent was only $600. And I remember that feeling of like not being able to sleep. And I just wanted my credit not to be ruined. And I just wanted to make sure that my, beeper at the time wasn't disconnected. And so, yeah, it was literally that fear of losing my car or getting evicted or not having the money to pay the electric bill that kept us working just so we could pay our bills. And little by little, we were able to start paying off credit card debt and putting a down payment on our first house and like that.
So what advice would you have for someone who doesn't perhaps have the courage or the inclination to be an entrepreneur, but they're working, but they want to retire and they want to have, a comfortable retirement to carry them on through the rest of their life? What advice would you have so they're not just living paycheck to paycheck? What did you learn?
Just little by little, I started realizing that I didn't want to spend money where I wasn't going to get some kind of a return. Like shoes and clothing and, expensive cars, they're depreciating assets. I mean, now we have nice shoes and nice cars and all of that. But at the beginning, when you're just trying to save money for your first house, maybe you shouldn't go out to eat, at a fancy restaurant, So, and also consistency is key. It's not about, a commission check that you're going to get 10 grand and you think you're going to get it every month or every week, eventually, sometimes you get 10 grand now, you don't get another 10 grand for 3 or 4 months, depending on if you're in a commission-based business. So just consistency and just keep at it is so important, so important.
So intellectual capital is one of our, things that you really have to understand and develop, a growth mindset, right? So if you had to, write a letter back to your younger self, what would you tell yourself and what advice would you give your younger self?
Well, that's a hard question. I don't know how to answer that, especially on the spot like this. My younger self didn't know any better. She was just pursuing and just doing what her soul called her to do. I had, of course, a few jobs that I wasn't happy in. And I thank the universe for taking me out of those jobs. And I didn't understand it at the time. But you look back and say, thank God. Or the universe, or whatever you want to call it. Just trust in the journey. Trust in your soul and in your heart that you are where you need to be. Learn lessons along the way. And be patient. And just, life is a journey and life is all lessons being learned. There is no right and wrong. It's just about, really, I call it being in my dharma. Like when I realized that I really loved real estate, it was just second nature. And I would just be so passionate about learning in my particular area, which I focused on Pembroke Pines and Broward County. And the next thing you know, you're going to see it doesn't cost any money to go look at things that, that you might not be able to afford at the moment, but it doesn't cost money to go look at real estate and go look at cars that you might want to buy in the future. And those things give you that drive to just keep going. For me, because I had a car with no air conditioner and no radio at the time. So yeah, we would go look at cars and I'd dream about, I have a car. Yes. But when it came to real estate, when we didn't really have the money for it, sometimes we gave a deposit for $1,000 and we knew we didn't have the money in the bank account. And we're talking about the 1990s, mid-1990s. But we'd ask for a payment plan or whatever. We just worked towards those goals. So I think that the lesson that I would like to give people in general, no matter what age, and to myself is, to let life is lessons learned and to just follow what feels good to your heart, but also think smart. Like you have to have the business side and the heart side too. So and if you lack in one or the other, maybe find a partner or a friend that you can trust that can help you with whatever it is you're lacking on.
Right. You know, they say that, you know, books can be a force multiplier. And, you know, my grandfather in Panama said, when you learn to shave, try to shave on someone else's face first. And I've always enjoyed reading books because you can learn other people's mistakes. Is there any book that has been a big influence on you, or a book that you've given out a lot to friends to help them? What would that be?
As a teenager, when we were looking for our partner in life, it was Secrets About Men. Secrets About Men Every Woman Should Know, or Secrets About Women by Barbara DeAngelis. And Many Lives, Many Masters, and The Secret.
And, oh, great. Well, those are three great suggestions. You know, moving to social capital, you know, now that you've come all this way, what do you feel is your social responsibility, and what are you committed to doing to improve the world with the blessings that you've been able to create?
I'm starting to get into this realm now. I feel like I've always kind of done it with my personality or with people on the streets, but now I want to get into it in terms of like education, health, you know, like cancer, maybe people who are blind. I have a whole list of different charities that I want to start donating to, but I'm just tapping into that world. Now through our business, we donated to like 50 different charities.
Sure.
Last year alone, whether it's Habitat, American Red Cross, YMCA, through the business we do it.
Right.
But on a personal level, I want to get more involved now, because through the business we have a whole team that does it. But now on a personal level, I want to get more involved, you know.
So let me ask you, you know, social capital is also about developing deep relationships with individuals and also leveraging, you know, networks. How have you done that, and how important is that to develop close relationships with people and networks to help you on your journey? Well,
they say relationships are everything, right?
They do.
And you only want to work with people that you like. It's not that you, it's just an organic thing. It's not like, oh, I'm going to, it just happens. You know, if somebody has a wall or a friction and you can't work with that person, it's harder. So it's just much easier to work with people that you get along with, or that kind of follow your same goals and aspirations, and you just kind of fall into that flow.
So no energy vampires. If there's someone that's sucking your energy, you get away from those.
I don't do it at first, you know, like I try, or I finish whatever project I'm working with that person on, but then eventually you just realize, you know, for the second project, maybe you might want to find somebody different for that particular situation. But when it comes to real estate, you know, yeah, I have a handful of realtors and colleagues that I trust, and whenever they bring a deal, you know, you just want to listen to what they have to say, because they've proven themselves. And also, because I don't know, in the, like, we lend money privately as well. There are certain people that have brought us deals that, you know, didn't pay on time, that are on foreclosure. So you start realizing, oh, maybe that person's deals aren't the type of investments we want to make. But then there's this other person that every time they bring us a deal, it's like solid. And then in the film industry as well, you go to film markets and you meet people and you establish relationships that you just trust. So it's super important. That
makes sense. So in terms of human capital and maximizing human potential, having health and great energy is important. In terms of nutrition, exercise, what are your routines? How have you maintained, you know, a high energy level and good health?
It's an everyday thing. Waking up every day, realizing that our body's our temple, and it's taken me a very, very long time. I just turned 51, and I had a health scare last year. So it wasn't that until that health scare that I started realizing, oh my God, without this body, none of it matters, you know? So it took some time to start changing things, like not dyeing my hair anymore, not wearing nail polish, perfumes, just what I'm putting into my body, just waking up first thing in the morning, exercising, acupuncture, massages, going to the doctor more often. All of those things became so important. And then on a spiritual side as well, it just happened that I went to one sound bath. One sound bath was like, wow, that was amazing. I need to do another one, and like that.
And I want to get more into that in a little bit, but you know, also, you know, on the human capital side, you've had to learn a lot of new skills that didn't come naturally to you. What advice would you give, or what do you do when you have to learn something, a new skill that doesn't come naturally to you? What do you do?
For me, it always starts with, I want to do this, and I take action. And then I learned the school of hard knocks. I don't recommend that for everybody. That's just my personality. So I just feel like when you want to do something, you should take action and do it. And that doesn't always happen that way for a lot of people, because we all have different personality types, as you know.
And on the emotional side, you know, we all deal with great disappointments, failures. How do you deal with the resilience to get back up and keep going when you have like a massive disappointment or failure in your life?
I think that as an actress, I have the ability to kind of put myself in someone else's shoes. So when somebody tells me a story that might have happened to them, I put myself in their shoes and have compassion and understanding. So when it happens to me, it almost feels like it already happened. Like, so when I found out that I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I already had a list of things I was going to do if I ever found out I had cancer. You know, so I knew what doctor I was going to go to. I knew what hospital I was going to go to. I literally hit it head first. I almost don't believe I have it, and I just keep moving forward. Right. And that's what led me to change everything on the spiritual and on the body side, is that shift in realizing, oh my God, I have non-Hodgkin's. Thankfully, I didn't have to go through any of the chemo or radiation at the time, because I have it, but I didn't have any symptoms. But I faced it head on. I just took action, just like everything else that I've done. And sometimes I look back and I feel like I haven't really done anything, or that it's not enough, or that I have to do so much more. And I don't know, I think it's because it is like embedded, and it's like second nature.
Yeah, well, that brings me to the concept of PMA, which I know you and Eric are big believers in, a positive mental attitude. How important is that, and how do you cultivate it if you don't have it?
The only reason why you wouldn't have it is because you haven't done enough soul searching, or because you've been conditioned in a way to not have it. So peeling off those layers, you know, like they call them onions, like, you know, to not have positive mental attitude just means that you've been conditioned to not have positive mental attitude, or to not see things in a positive way, or to not learn. But I think it's,
at least with I have 4 kids, it's also like things happen and they think that they're a victim, you know. And I try to tell them, the world's not coming at you, it's coming from within you. But it's a hard concept that you can turn on this switch and think positively instead of negatively, and it changes your whole life.
Right, because looking at things like lessons is almost like a secret to that. You know, it's not happening to you, it's just a lesson that you need to learn. And I think that helps change the mindset a little bit of how you see things. So therefore, you can also choose to think of things positively and see things as lessons that you need to learn.
So yeah, that's true, because if you reflect, like, this failure and this failure ended up bringing me here, and if I wouldn't have had these 2 failures, so sometimes I guess you have to savor your failures, because you never know where it's going to take you. But that's a positive mental attitude. Exactly.
And just, you're not always going to be happy or positive. You're not always going to have a good day, but just knowing that that day is supposed to be that way, and just kind of taking it in and letting it flow through you instead of like holding on to it, is the key. Just seeing it like a lesson and letting it move through you and past you. Now, I didn't just come up with this. Obviously, we all have counselors. We all have people that we talk to. We all have mentors. We all have books that we read. And that is the key, is to tap into a source that you can always count on to help you with whatever it is you're going through that day. Because we're all going to have problems that we feel we can't get past today, or, oh my God, this is so hard. And just knowing and trusting that tomorrow's another day. My dad died when I was 18.
Wow.
So that in itself, I just remember having days of sadness, but even then I knew that tomorrow was another day, and I don't know where that came from. It just did. You know, they have all these, I was just gravitated to those motivational posters back then that existed in the, in 1990 when my dad died, of those, like, you know, seeing the sunshine and, you know, or seeing a dark path and then the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, those things got me through.
And there's a relativity thing too, because, you know, I was in the military, your husband Eric was a Marine, and sometimes when I have a huge disappointment, I think, well, I'm not in the jungle getting shot at. I'm actually alive, and you know, how bad is this really?
So true.
Yeah.
So true. Perception is everything too.
Yeah. You had mentioned, you know, spiritual capital seems to be an important part of your life. How were you raised, and how important are your spiritual beliefs?
I think they're very important. My mom named me Barbara because I was born on in Spanish, La Víspera de la Santa Bárbara, which is December 3rd. It's the day that they wait for her birthday on December 4th. So ever since I was little, my mom was like, you're the daughter of St. Barbara, and the nurse's name was Barbara. So I wasn't going to name you Barbara, but I named you Barbara. And it's incredible how many things you do to your children at that young age made me feel so special. Something that simple made me feel like, wow. So then we did Catholic church every Sunday. I went to a Catholic school, but I always started thinking, like, I don't think I have to go to church to feel close to God. I could pray to God right from here. And little by little, I started developing my own ideas of what my spirituality was. I took a philosophy course in college, and they talked about God as being the ocean, and we're just a drop in the ocean. And little things throughout my life kind of made sense that way. And I think I lost it for a little bit, and I just recently, like maybe a year ago, started really honing in on all of that.
Is that
again, I got my
because
mala
of the
beads.
cancer?
The cancer, the mala beads basically magnify everything that you want. It kind of like, if you want something, it magnifies it. These are the crystal mala beads, and they're so heavy, and I love them. So I wore them today.
And where did you get them?
On a website called Tiny Rituals, actually.
Wow. And what do they do for you, and how does it make you feel throughout the day?
Well, first, I think they look good. I think it looks kind of cool and artsy. And second, just the fact that it magnifies, and I just feel like I'm cleaning my soul. That all of the yoga and the chakras and Christianity and all of that points to the same thing. It's all about clearing your inner soul and listening to your inner child, and not shunning down on it anymore, letting it have a voice, you know. So, you know, that inner child really truly knows what you want and what you need at any given moment, no matter how old you are, because our body's aging, but our inner soul never did, you know?
Right. You know, and some individuals don't have that close connection that, you know, that you're exuding or attached to any organized religion, but they feel that they have a life purpose, and they have gifts, and they want to use those gifts for the benefit of humanity. How important is it to try to identify your own gifts, your life purpose, and align everything you do around it?
Lately, I feel like I am the person that's bringing this into my close circle. I find that little by little, my friends are listening. You know, they're starting to like ask questions about certain things that I've been doing lately. So I like to lead by example, personally. That's how I'd like to get in the trenches with people, but I also like to lead by example. For, I don't know if I answered your question properly.
Well, the question is also like, do you have a good sense of like why you're here? Because I think, you know, there are certain gifts you probably have that are different than 99% of the world, and I know you want to use them to benefit and make other people's lives better, easier, from your children, your husband, your friends. What do you, have you, you know, thought about, you know, your own life purpose and why you're here? And do you think it's important to even think about these things?
I think you need to help me figure that out.
I would be happy to. You know, I what happened, I was 50 years old, so about 10 years ago, I went to a class and to be an authentic leader, but I didn't know my life purpose. So I hired a coach, and I spent a year here in Florida, and I discovered that my life purpose is to inspire and connect others to achieve extraordinary things. And I was doing like 23 different things, and I eliminated everything but 3. And I felt that it takes my gifts, and one of the things I do now is help individuals that have that yearning to, like, you know, like yourself, where you've created, you and your husband, great wealth, and I know you want to use it in a way to benefit others, which, you know, gives blessings to them, but it also gives blessings to you personally. So I would love to help refine that for you, because you're such a beautiful person, talented. And I think that what you went through recently with cancer, I think, has put you on this path of spirituality, of love. Like, you have such a different vibe. So I want to learn, like, what are you doing?
Thank you. Well, that's another example of how we shouldn't resist certain things that happen in our life and just see them as opportunities for growth. My brother once said, for every adversity, there's a seed for greater or equal opportunity. And he said that to me at a very young age, and I've never forgotten it. So that's how I saw it. I never really associated with the negative. I saw it as an opportunity for growth. So,
awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with them. I'm truly inspired, and I want to hear later more about this sound bath. You'll have to talk to me about that and everything else you're doing.
Well, we're going to Hawaii, and I'm already like telling our executive assistant, find me a place where they do sound baths or some kind of chanting. You know, it's great. So yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming. This is awesome.
Thank you.